Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Alyssa, and I lead product for GelatoCreate. Today, we have someone really special joining us. It is time for us to sit down live with one of our brand partners. We've picked Lane 7, one of the exciting brands that we are launching on GelatoCreate, because they have some beautiful clothing to show us. We've invited them to tell us a little bit of their brand story, about the trends that they're seeing, how they see this transition for creators into premium. And we'll talk maybe a little bit about how to make money while making that transition as well. We strongly believe that Lane 7 Apparel is one of the strongest things that you can add to your catalog. Apparel customers are going to be coming back season after season, and premium is just where the most loyal customers live. So I want to, with that, welcome Melissa Gibson. So maybe you can introduce yourself, and then we can talk a little bit more about Lane 7.
Yeah, I'm Melissa Gibson. I'm with Lane 7 Apparel. I'm the director of sales. I've been with the company for about 5 years now and been able to experience some explosive growth in the print-on-demand and the creator market. And we're having a blast coming out with all of our new collections and continuing to work with brands across the board.
Amazing. So welcome. So maybe we can get started by me just asking you, where did Lane 7 come from? What's Lane 7's brand story?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite kind of origin stories, and it's not unlike a lot of creators today. So Nabil, our CEO and founder, 12 years ago next month, was in the midst of working on a project. He had just kind of come out of a failed denim brand and was looking for his next adventure. He'd been in custom manufacturing and sourcing really since his origin, since birth. His family's been in it. He's fifth or sixth generation in apparel sourcing, but wanted to do something different and looked at the US market specifically and said, how can I really kind of come into this market and make an impact? And he saw a space within the printable market, and in that fashion space, specifically with fleece, is where we started. And my favorite part of this story is how the name Lane 7 came up. He was going around searching for a name and going back and forth, and then he finally turned on the street that he lived on, which was Lane 7. So it's a brand that feels like home. That's kind of we want that coziness, the warmth, and that familiarity in our garments. We want that to be inherent within our brand. So it is the fiber of everything that we do. And with that, through the last 12 years, we've evolved through COVID and everything, and have really grown.
Yeah, the fiber of everything you do. I see what you did there as well. But no, that's so cool. I actually did not know where the Lane 7 name came from. So I love that it feels like home. And it is also a home that is a little bit different from what's out there on the market, right? So, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about what is different about a Lane 7 garment versus what we might call a commodity blank or something else that's on the market. What does it feel like when I wear Lane 7? What's different about it?
Yeah, our main goal, and every brand's main goal, is to be that garment that you reach for every time, right? Every time your favorite t-shirt, your favorite hoodie comes out of the wash, it's on the next day, right? Maybe even that day if it gets that far. So we want to bring that kind of comfort into our garment, but with the longevity. And we want to meet what retail standards are. So often when you're going with a commodity blank, there's somewhat of a disappointment factor when the customer gets it, right? You've done all this beautiful work to create a brand and a brand presence online. And that's why selling apparel online can be really difficult, is because of that tactile feel that you get with brick and mortar, but you don't get with e-com. Lane 7 lets you help bridge that and lets you be profitable. We've got really sharp price points that we have customers who are often selling our hoodies in the $80, $90 plus range. We also have them selling in the $50 to $60 price range, all with the same blank. Letting your brand and that really drive that piece of the conversation. Let that be your powerhouse in the pricing dynamic. And we also recognize that, we're only part of the equation. So the graphics tend to lead that first purchase and that brand vibe and feel. It will be the garment that brings them back. So we can match. We've got so many different collections within our assortment now that you're able to find something that really fits with each part of your collection that you're trying to build.
Yeah, I love that. So, I mean, what you're saying is also like these commodity garments, they can do the job, but they're not going to build a fan. They're not going to be the thing that you reach for the second, third, and fourth time. And I think that also is so important to our creators here, is that that's the game, right? It's not only that first sale, it's the second, third, and fourth sale that you can make to the same customer because they absolutely love what they've bought.
Well, you don't start making money, you lose money typically, right? Through all of your marketing spend and all of that and production, you lose money on the first sale. It's just the nature of the game. So getting that high ROI and getting that customer to come back and be loyal to the brand is the most pivotal, and everything that we can do to make sure that you have the quality and consistency that you need to back up what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and I mean, along that same vein, like speaking about things that our creators and their customers care about, a lot of it is about the way that things are produced and the sustainability factor. I know that you have a lot that you can share about that as well when it comes to Lane 7. So maybe there's something there that we can also talk about.
Yeah, so everything is done with a sustainability focus. We don't do a great job of talking about it. We have a lot of it on our website, but if you talk to our sales team, it's kind of in the back of our mind, but it's such in what we do, you almost forget about it. So almost everything we do is made with at least 10 to 20% recycled polyester. Everything is made in Pakistan from the seed forward, which makes us a little bit more unique in that sense, that it's a very closed loop, tight supply chain in Pakistan. Most of the time, you start adding up all the mileage and the oil and the transportation costs just to make a garment. So using less water, less energy, all the things, it goes beyond the fiber of the garment to make sure you're doing everything as sustainably and ethically with all WRAP certified, all of those things that really ensure that across the board, you're on the up and up.
Yeah, so I love that. Okay, so we've really covered around what is Lane 7, what makes Lane 7 as a brand special, and therefore would translate into making the creators brand special. And I think that to wrap this, it's like you can also start thinking about who is your customer. Are you competing on price for that, with everyone printing on the same blank, or are you going to compete with the best? Are you going to attract a buyer who is going to really buy into your brand, who's going to be coming back, who is going to come in for a hoodie, but then come back and buy a tee, who buys into the whole sustainability thing?
Yeah. And, sustainability is really kind of it's starting to transform in the language. It's no longer just about the fabric and how it's made. That's a large component of it. And I think that's the start. I think the bigger story is how many times it's worn. You could make the most sustainable garment in the world, but if it's only worn once and it doesn't meet the expectations of the customer, it was all for naught. It then has, a shorter life cycle than something that's more impactful on the environment from a manufacturing standpoint. So I think all those things working in tandem really make for a stronger sustainability story.
Yeah, absolutely. And at Gelato, we relate to that a lot as well. I mean, we've seen the statistics of, depending on what source you're looking at, it could be up to 60% of clothing that is created as landfilled. And yep. How often do people wear one t-shirt when we're talking about fast fashion? And so I think in that sense, our missions are so aligned. So that's one of the reasons we're so excited to bring you to our catalog and have you as one of the premier brands amongst our creators.
Yeah.
But yeah, also I think if we move into a little bit more kind of practical questions, because I think the brand story and the sustainability is so beautiful, But then I want also the creators to know, what can we act on? So I think the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to something practical is trends. This is where premium blanks aren't just nicer. It means that you can really unlock, so much. I know you have a lot of cool streetwear, dyed looks, vintage. I mean, can you talk to us about trends?
So in terms of trends, we're seeing a lot of different emerging trends. The biggest one is being driven out of music merch, with all these women artists coming back on tour and doing these massive tours. Think Charlie XCX, Taylor Swift, Beyonce. They've had a massive impact in driving cultural shift in terms of women's apparel. With that, you're seeing women's trends surcharge to the front. It was that way about 10, 15 years ago when I first started in the apparel industry. And we're seeing that resurgence now. So we just introduced an 8-piece women's collection. It's the first time in our history that we've had a women's collection. Super excited about it. We have 3 fleece pieces that are luxe and beautiful, better than even I would have imagined that we were going to make. And our tees, which one of them I'm wearing today, kind of that super on-trend fit that everyone's looking for. It matches exactly what you're seeing in premium retail. From a unisex and men's standpoint, we just introduced our Element collection, which is a heavier weight. The piece in that collection that really stands out is our fleece polo, which I know what you're thinking. What? Why? It is has that kind of old school rugby fit. I have a 12-year-old son, and he's the one who reminds me of what's cool and what's not, because I am still very old school, and he reminds me every day. But he fell in love with this piece. And you see it. We were very inspired by Ralph Lauren and brands like that, and Tommy Hilfiger from the 90s. It has that look, but with a streetwear fit. And the best part of it, it's got a hidden kangaroo pocket, so it looks really polished, but still has that coziness into it. So we're really ecstatic about that piece coming into our collection. The other thing that we're seeing is textures. So this really started with our Nantucket collection, which is a sweater knit, and has this cozy, I kind of call it my mullet, because it's all business in the front, and then it's really cozy and warm on the inside. So it's got this beautiful moment with it.
I love
that. And then we have thermal, which we just introduced, 11-ounce thermal, in a hoodie and a crew. This matches what you're seeing in brands like Aloe and Viore, kind of coming in with that athleisure-ish style, but a little bit more elevated with that texture. You're also starting to see it thermals in brands like Fear of God and things like, so you're seeing it from the streetwear, and Kith, I think, is also introducing a thermal. So you're seeing that more from that streetwear perspective as well. And then you have our core basics, which is our heavyweight collection and our premium fleece collection. This is like, if I were going to tell anyone to start and get familiar with Lane 7, it would be within these 2 collections. This is the cornerstone of who we are and how we built our brand. The premium fleece collection is our midweight. It is a kind of a standard fit. We just introduced a quarter zip this year, which has done phenomenally well. It's really interesting to me that one of the biggest trends that you're seeing is kind of a joke, is Gen Alpha and Z and boomers all kind of wearing the same thing, like the same New Balances with the quarter zip. It's an interesting mix of who's buying these things. And then you have, so with our premium fleece, it's more of that standard, what you're expecting from a hoodie, with a wider color range. We've got sweatpants, a jogger. We've got it all in that collection. Our heavyweight is a 10-ounce, so you're getting more into that heavier weight, but more with that standard look and fit. It's a great streetwear piece. It's a great basics piece, with the accompanying t-shirts as well. So yeah, love those 2 collections as well.
I mean, there's so much there. The first thing I want to do is congratulate you that there was something there your 12-year-old like. That's when you've made it.
It is. He called me one day and he's like, "Mom, I need this specific hoodie." I'm like, "How do you even know that we made that already or that it's in stock?" And yeah, it was like, the fact that you want my stuff, I feel really good about.
Exactly. Amazing. So, I mean, also to the customer, I mean, then you open up a whole new customer base.
Yep.
Parents of preteens and teens.
It turns out they grow a lot and need a lot of clothes over and over again.
There you go. Repeat purchases, right?
Yep.
Amazing. So, yeah, I think another thing that you kind of landed on there that brands like Aloe and Biore are doing really, really well that I think would be really interesting to touch upon, I think you kind of touch upon, is sets. I mean, what does that do for people's, margin, their ability to sell when they can sell 3 pieces at once? I know you do sets, right? I mean, things that match together.
Yeah, we have 3. Yeah, we have 3 pants within our collection now. We have an open leg sweatpant in the premium fleece collection that we just introduced this last year. We have our premium fleece jogger, which is kind of that classic jogger fit. And then our urban collection has a beautiful sweatpant that has a hidden stash pockets. So it's got 5 pockets built in. So we love those. From a branding standpoint, it's really interesting that you want to, we joke, and you'll hear this from any manufacturer, we do all of this to sell a black large anything. So you have all these colors and you have all these options, and if black large is not your number one selling thing, you're an anomaly, right? That's kind of just the math, the math works. So the sets really help drive that core basic because customers love that flexibility to be able to build something and curate something on their own. So to be able to match things, the one thing that we love is that with our color stories, black is going to match fabric to fabric. So outside of our urban, if it's like a really different fabric, that black will still match other pieces of our collection, even though the weight may not be the same.
But that's even cool too. I mean, you can really mix and match textures.
Yeah.
And so this is what also brands like Aloe have shown us can sell so well, right?
Yep. Yeah. And, and getting that add-on sale, they just came for the hoodie, but to get the pant and the tee as well that's a win because they're already there. So getting the max spend is the most important.
And one thing that I learned recently also, if we're talking about the kind of color and how color can look beautiful and kind of elevated, is I know that color is a really important piece of the equation for you. So how you dye garments, the material, and how it takes garments. So, I think that many people on the call could kind of, can relate to the feeling of getting a t-shirt that doesn't look quite right, like quite well dyed, maybe a vintage wash that came out patchy or threads that are a completely different color. Can you speak a little bit about how you think about color, even if it's a black large?
Yeah, no. So color fastness is like when you're seeing that bleed out, that's called color fastness. That's really important in what we do, and making sure that all the way through the production process, including the print process, that we're eliminating that as much as possible. We do use a pigment dye within our urban collection so that, that a pigment dye is an oil-based solution. So it sits on top of the fabric, which is why it kind of releases that color faster than anything else, or other standard dye products. We are seeing a resurgence of dye. It's kind of tie-dye 2.0. So during early COVID, tie-dye was the thing. And so garment dye since then has really kind of taken its own evolution. We're starting to see a lot more mineral dyes, oil washes, things like that, which that's a hint to where we're headed for 27, and getting more into those richer colors as well. We look at our color story constantly, making sure that we're on trend. We're bringing in all the colors that are needed within someone's assortment, making sure, if just having a brown isn't enough, you've got to have 3 or 4 shades of it, including blues and all that, having that right undertone into that color story, and making sure everything's dyed as efficiently as possible. So you're not, no over dyeing, which means we're not taking garments and taking a white garment and dyeing it black because it will sell better. It's just not part of our ethos, and we want to make it right the first time and bring in exactly what people need.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that probably the next question on people's mind after hearing all of this cool stuff is, where is it going to be available? So we've already launched for US and Canada, but I think that we're also planning to launch, or I know that we're already planning to launch in Europe as well. So I didn't know if you wanted to also mention about geography and anything there, maybe even a little bit of if you see the same trends kind of mirrored in different geographies, or if there's something that people can think about there.
Yeah, so we do what we've done. So we have two warehouses based here in the US, in Los Angeles and North Carolina. And then we have a partner in Canada that we work with and distribute. It's the same product both places. Then we have we just opened up in the EU this, I think, in March. So brand new to us as well, but the product is exactly the same, but it matches EU labeling standards. So everything's a tearaway label placement, all the generic kind of the things that you want from a branding standpoint to make that take on your own life. It's there, and it will match wherever you are and shipping to. It's going to match and be consistent, but may have slightly different labeling. So
amazing. So I think that we've gone through a lot of different things. I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite Lane 7 item that you get to wear on a regular basis?
Okay, I'm going to give you two answers. My favorite pullover hoodie is our LS 19001. I call that my boyfriend without the BS experience because it's the one everyone steals. And it dawned on me, my husband kept stealing mine, and I had to change what was on my sample rack just so I could keep it from him. So he would steal it all the time. And then anytime I've done sample packages to other people, they're like, my wife stole it immediately. I don't know what it is. So that's my favorite one. I love the fit. It's great with leggings, all that kind of stuff from a woman's perspective. My new favorite is our new women's zip, which I think is the LS 8803, 003. And it's a zip. It doesn't have the pockets. It's got a big oversized hood so it doesn't screw up your hair. All of the kind of the things. It's a crop, but it's like the perfect length, that it's not super cropped, it's not super long. And I'm almost 5'10", and got a really long torso, and it hits me just at my natural waist, which I love. So, I've had kids, all those things. You want to be able to cover all the bits. So love that that's one of the features within our collection. And from a t-shirt perspective, our new Element tee and the women's Relax tee, which is what I'm wearing today. Those are probably my two favorite tees within our collection.
Yeah, I'm actually so excited to try all the women's cuts out. I love a unisex, but it's just so much different when it's women specific. And one thing that I've spoken to our creators about is, even if you are two male founders, please add a women's cut to your collection.
Yeah. Yep.
You will be thanked. Your revenue will thank you. It just sits so differently. And especially in that the hoodie that you were mentioning, just not having all the kangaroos, like the hidden. I mean, it sounds so sleek and so cozy. So can't wait to, but a little streetwear too. Like,
it fits a lot of different demographics. I think it's doing phenomenally well. We just launched it a month ago and it's already sold out. So, in a couple of colors. So the women's collection, the one thing I will tell anyone who's never ventured into women's apparel, understand the fit and where you're going and let that craft your language. Women's apparel has a higher return and complaint rate than anything else, which is why a lot of people are hesitant to get into it. But if it's done right, we give you a lot of assets within our collection to kind of help you go tell that fit story. But making sure you're telling that story consistently about who this is right for lack of a better description of that. But those are some really kind of points with women's apparel to be really cognizant of.
I love that, actually. It is a question that we get very often, how do we give the end customer enough information that we can reduce returns, right? And I think that what we'll do is that we can drop a guide to all of you creators on how to speak about these products. What language can you use on your storefronts? Melissa and Lane 7 have so much experience in the types of things that people want to know when they're choosing their fit. Does this run big? Does this run small? How tall is the model, etc. So, what we'll do is that we will add and link in this webinar to a guide on what to talk about in your storefront so that you can do the very best job that you can.
Yeah.
Perfect. So Melissa, anything else from your side before we wrap up here?
No, I think we are just so excited about what's coming for 2027. We're got some killer stuff coming. I'm really excited about the stuff we've launched for 26. It's hard to believe we're talking about 27 at any capacity right now, but here we are at mid-June. So I think the other last thing I would let customers know, because I think one thing that's different from a mill perspective versus kind of a fashion perspective, we typically only release once a year. So in January, we announce everything that we're launching for the year, and we bring it in very quick succession after that, if it's not already in stock in January. So you're going to start to see kind of teasers and things from us, what's coming in 27, but we're still very excited about our 26 product with the thermal and the element collection and the women's. We added 20 styles this year, so we're still trying to get our own heads around all of it.
Yeah, and all the creators who are listening to this right now, they're already thinking peak. Christmas for us doesn't happen on, or the holidays don't happen now. Winter, they're happening now. So, all of you who are listening to this, I would say don't overthink it. Pick something, the hoodies, the element collection, the women's cuts, pick something that fits your brand. They're all perfect starts. Add it to your store. See how your customers respond. I think they're going to love it. This is, it's something that we're recommending as you build up your peak collection. And one thing that I wanted to add is that, if today's got you thinking and you want to be part of this journey with Gelato Lane 7, you're very welcome. And it's so easy to start. So Lane 7 is already live on GelatoCreate right now. You can go and start adding it. You can order yourself a sample. And to celebrate the launch, we've got 10% off for everyone who's adding it to their stores to get you started. So we can't wait to see what you're going to create with it and to get your feedback. So Melissa, thank you so much for the conversation. It was so valuable to tap into your experience and knowledge, and I think you've given us so much to think about and to work with. And we're looking forward to, not just 26, but also to see what's coming in 27 and getting all of those on GelatoCreate and to all of our wonderful creators as well.
I'm excited. Thank you.
Yeah. And to everyone watching, I want to thank you for spending this time with us, and go make something great. We can't wait to see it. So thank you so much. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you, Alyssa. Bye.
Bye.